I think the job of being a teacher is so rewarding in so many ways.
The connection between you and the whole class, that's still unbeatable.
When my pupils are successful, it feels incredible.
I think the greatest thing for me is seeing the pupils that I teach love the subject as much as I do.
I don't think there's any other job where you get the same satisfaction.
That's why I chose to teach.
You could get £26,000 tax-free to train. Search Apply to Teach. Selected subjects only, subject to eligibility.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen. Podcasting since 2005. You're listening to Gamertag Radio. With your host, podcaster Hall of Famer Danny Pena, the always opinionated Paris Lilly, and from outside of the norm, Peter Toledo. This is Gamertag Radio.
Here we go.
Welcome to episode 638 of Gamertag Radio. I'm Paris, and this week I'm joined by Pete.
What up?
Danny is not here, but he is kind of here. It's like a weird Inception Matrix thing. He'll be joining us in a little bit. He's doing an interview from Podfest. But how you doing this morning, Pete?
I'm doing all right. It's Sunday morning. It's been a weird weekend for me, but overall, I'm kind of pumped. I'm kind of excited. It's a big weekend for Gamertag Radio in general. I mean, it's our birthday. It's our 12th anniversary of being around. Like you said, it's kind of surreal without having Danny on the 12th anniversary show, but he's been doing major things. I know you've said this countless times on Facebook Live and stuff like that, but it's huge. The accomplishments that Danny has done, from, the Hall of Fame. He's doing keynotes, just taking this whole podcast medium, having been there from the beginning and then, to where it is now, bringing us on board for this journey. It's just, it's a blessing and proud of everything that he's done and everything that we've all done, whether it's us or it's our former counterparts here on the show, from Nono to Feels Good, Cyber, and everyone in between.
No, absolutely. And just speaking of Podfest, it's just seeing Danny's keynote. I was watching it on Facebook Live. I mean, he did an amazing job. That was fantastic. And then obviously later that night, they did the screening of the Messengers documentary that heavily features Danny. And I guess you and I even show up in it too, which is going to be so interesting to see. But before we continue with the show, I want to remind everyone, you can find us over at gamertagradio.com or at play.it. And Danny, let everyone know where they can leave us any feedback.
Send us your feedback or questions. Give us a call at 786-273-7GTR. Email us at fanmail@gamertagradio.com or leave a message on speakpipe.com/gamertagradio.
All right. So Danny actually has an interview at Podfest. He's talking to Desirai over at the Mommy Gamer. Shout out to them, and shout out to Marsha, because Marsha, I'm going to be picking your brain about streaming on Twitch and all that stuff, which brings me to my next point, Pete, before we jump into that interview with Danny and Desirai. We're streamers now.
It's awkward, isn't it?
we started streaming, and look, we're the most ghetto, basic Twitch streamers in the history of streaming, but we've actually taken that first step now to start trying to doing some game streaming on Twitch. And obviously you guys have seen the stuff that we've done on Facebook Live. Even you and I did another Facebook Live face-to-face earlier this week. So again, go to the Gamertag Radio Facebook page, give us a like, follow us over there, and you'll get notifications every time that we do a Facebook Live video. But yeah, man, we dipped our toe in the game streaming ocean, and I went as far as and shout out to Khalif over at Spawn on Me, because he gave me some great tips on how to get set up on my end on the PC. I set up, I used an open source software called OBS, set that up. I have got my Logitech C22 camera. I dusted off my old Yeti mic I hadn't been using in a while. And yeah, man, I jumped on, set up, I have my Twitch page now, and I was streaming Gwent, and I was streaming Uncharted 4, and I even have it if you go to the page and follows, which I already had 200 people follow me, which is
nice.
Crazy.
Nice.
But I have it so you can see me in the camera and I'm playing and I'm talking to people in the chat room and everything. It's cool, man. So definitely going to try and expand on this. I'm still learning. It's still very basic. I mean, obviously anyone that's watching, feedback is definitely appreciated. And we also have our Gamertag Radio Twitch page. And I believe, Pete, the way we have it set up is if you or I start streaming from our personal page, it'll automatically go to the Gamertag Radio page, right?
That's correct. So hopefully once we start getting enough content on there, and I apologize to everyone who actually watched or participated in the stream on Friday night. I had like a 3 or 4 hour run on Twitch of the Ghost Recon Wildlands open beta. I had several people from our GTR Discord server, so if you guys are interested, send us a message or hit up, I believe his name is Josh on Twitter. You can reach out to him at Joshua M25, or look for us on Steam. I think we've given up our Steam IDs or what have you. But yeah, there's a GTR Discord server. And the real cool thing about the GTR Discord server, it's not just whatever we're doing on the show or it's in the beta. There's a bunch of different channels for games and stuff like that. It's a great communication platform for video games.
Oh, absolutely.
But I forgot to hit archive. So that 3-4 hour stream that I did, it's gone. That would have been a fantastic opportunity to save to the actual GTR page. I don't know if our running archives get pushed to the GTR page. I don't think it does, but that's something we can obviously work on since we're not full partners on Twitch. Our stuff probably won't stay on as long as it normally does for those that are higher on. But hey, this is a new space for us. We're learning. It's a great opportunity for us to move into the realm of the rest of the gaming industry. So bear with us while we start. Like Parris said, we're in our infancy. We're kind of ghetto, but we're getting there. So it's good. It's interesting. I like it.
Yeah, for sure. And, like I told you guys a few months back, I promised you we were going to get into video more. And these are the first steps that we're going to start getting into video more. Doing Facebook Live has really helped me on a personal level get more comfortable just being in front of the camera. And, like when I was streaming Gwent yesterday and, I'm just in the camera, I'm just talking and I had the chat room up and people were asking me some questions and it was a cool thing, man. I really like the interactivity that we're having. So I can see a scenario where, look, we're never going to be these hardcore Twitch streamers. We're never going to be like some of your favorite personalities you may follow on Twitch or YouTube gaming right now. But I could see like a Friday night or a Saturday night, scheduled Twitch stream. And, we let you guys know via social media so you can tune in and, we'll have like a game of the week or something. Like obviously with like Horizon Zero Dawn coming out right now and even Mass Effect later in March. I mean, those are definitely two prime games I could see me streaming on my personal page, which look, I'll give that out right now just so people know, you can follow the Gamertag Radio page, which is Gamertag Radio. You can just search it on Twitch. And then my personal page is Vicious696. You can search that on Twitch. And Pete, you want to give yours?
Yeah, it's Pete Rock, PETEROCC, like my Twitter handle, like it is on Steam. I think Danny has one. It's at Godfrey7. But since he's rarely on PC,
he ain't using it.
So unless he streams straight up off the Emerald, off the Xbox One S that he's got, I don't know. That's something we probably need to start harping on and working on with him, seeing what he could do, see if he could start streaming. Because it's not relegated to just PC, right? We can now stream from the rest of our devices, and it might be something that we all need to start doing. Is regardless of the platform we're on.
Yeah, I've already started. I did Uncharted 4. I did Uncharted 4 yesterday. So, I mean, that's what I mean. Like, obviously, the Destinies and all these console games, I mean, we'll stream them all. The only thing with me with the PlayStation, I don't have a camera, so you won't get to see my beautiful face on the screen. But, I mean, yeah, we'll definitely figure something out.
Well, you'd have to reconnect the Kinect on your Xbox.
I don't have a Kinect. Doesn't work. There isn't a Kinect for the PlayStation, and I don't have a PlayStation camera. But like I said, we'll figure it out. Again, these are early days. I don't want to harp on it too much, but again, just make sure you follow our Gamertag Radio Facebook page. Follow Gamertag Radio on Twitter at Gamertag Radio, and you obviously have our personal Twitter accounts, and you guys can find us on social media. So, with all that said, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to play that interview with Danny and Desirai at Podfest 2017.
Welcome to Play It, a new podcast network featuring radio and TV personalities talking business, sports, tech, entertainment, and more. Play it at play.it.
Back on the scene.
This is Gamertag Radio.
All right, Gamertag Radio listeners, this is Danny, all the way from Orlando, Florida. Podfest Multimedia Expo 2017 just finished. Yesterday was like the last day. And shout out to all the Gamertag Radio listeners that attended my opening keynote and also the screening of The Messengers, a podcast documentary. It was a full house. So many people that were there, especially my family members, friends, the GTR community, and also other podcasters that were attending Podfest. It was jam-packed. And the cool thing about the screening, after the film was done, there was a huge, long, standing ovation from everybody that was there, part of the screening. And it was like mind-blowing, man, seeing the support from everybody. And the thing is, there was a lot of things that was been happening for the past couple of months behind the scenes. It was just like crazy footage lost. One of the filmmakers, his father-in-law passed away too during the week that he was editing. It was like a lot of things happening. And seeing that at the end, and the screening where they showed, it wasn't even totally finished. I believe it's like 85% of the movie. So there's gonna they're adding more stuff to, like our trip to LA, E3, everything, more stuff of us in Miami while they were interviewing me and everything, and a lot of surprise guests, which I'm not going to say anything. You guys are going to be surprised once the movie comes out. But yeah, that was just an amazing experience. Seeing that at the end gave me goosebumps, and I was like, man, it was just perfect with with us turning 12 years old with GTR and doing the opening keynote and being part of the Messengers documentary. It was just amazing, man, getting all the support. And I loved it, man. It was a great time, man. Awesome. So during Podfest, I got together with Desirai. She is part of the Mommy Gamers podcast. I was there talking to her, and we recorded a conversation about like how was Podfest in general. We talked about a little bit about the movie and also changes with E3 and so on. Talked about a lot about community, and it was a great conversation. So I know Peter and Parris are recording this week's episode. I'm going to be on for Thursday later this week, but I'm going to play this interview that I recorded with Desirai, and once we come back, more chit chat from Pete and Parris. Thanks again, everyone, for all the support. All the way from Orlando, I'm out. All right, so we're here at Podfest Multimedia Expo 2017, and I have a special guest here. This is, I know her for a very long time. I think since the Halo 2 days. This is Desirai from the Mommy Gamers. What's up?
Hi, Danny. How are you?
Gamertag. Sick, what is it?
Sick in the head.
Sick in the head. Are you sick in the head?
A little bit, maybe. I think so. My husband would agree. Psycho Vandal. So we're both a little crazy, I think.
So this is your first time here at a podcast expo, right? This is your first time? How's it been, the experience and everything?
So this has been my first time at Podfest, also at any kind of podcasting conference. It's been great meeting new people and finding about things that I didn't know about. So it's been pretty awesome. It's exciting.
And I know you got to see also The Messengers last night. The Messengers, a podcast documentary. Your thoughts? Because I'm very curious to see what people have to say about that,
I absolutely loved it. It was great. The quality was great. The footage was amazing. And I just loved seeing the diversity amongst podcasters, and just like the documentary says, we're all messengers. We all have a different message. It was great.
And you have met a lot of people since you've been here, like the past, 3 days or so. What is it that you like about this event?
I think what I like about this event is discovering that there are some people that have very, very, very specific niches of podcasts that they do, and I love knowing that there's an audience for all of them. And so the other thing is meeting people that have like diverse interests. So even though they may podcast about one thing specifically, they all do so many different things. So we're all multifaceted, and to me, that's really fascinating.
So like right now, you're working on the Mommy Gamers. Yeah, with Marsha. Hello, Marsha. Carrie too, right? She's doing her thing too. So how's it been with you, like podcasting for the Mommy Gamers? So now this is what, your fourth, fifth year. So how's that been?
It's been good. I mean, we've been growing. It's been changing and kind of evolving. So we're putting a lot more work into it now. We have a Twitch stream that's going now. So Marsha's been working really, really hard at that. And I think that's been helping a lot, having people get to know us, because I think that kind of gets them to wanting to listen to the podcast. So that's been helping a lot. So.
And what is it that you've been playing lately? Any games that you've been hooked?
Oh my God. You know, it's kind of embarrassing. The thing that I've been playing the most lately has been chess with friends.
Really? Why is that? Why is that?
It was just really random. I had a friend that was like, hey, did you get my chess with friends invite? And I was like, no, I don't have chess with friends. So he made me download it. And it had been years since I played chess. But now I'm learning how to get back into it and how to actually get good at chess again. And that was something I learned as a little kid, how to play chess. So that's been fun.
Are you planning to get like the Switch or anything like that, or are you curious about it or what?
I am definitely curious about the Switch. I feel like I am a big fan of Nintendo because they're so family oriented. So I probably will be picking it up. I don't know if I'm going to pick it up at launch, but I'm definitely considering picking it up at launch.
So last year, Marsha, she stayed with us last year during E3. We had a blast, and we talked a lot about like behind the scenes, E3, podcasting and stuff. This year, E3 is open to the public. Some people like it, some people don't like it. It's been mixed, the whole idea and everything. To you, let's talk about first E3. What are your thoughts of that, them opening to the public, especially for those that have never been to like an event like that? And are you planning to attend E3 this year?
Okay, so I think it's great that they kind of opened it to the public. I'm not personally planning to attend, but I like the idea that I may be able to later on down the line. I've always heard so many great things about E3, and I always see what's coming out of it and the pictures of people at the pressers and stuff like that. So it's always fascinated me. So hopefully I will get a chance to check it out sometime soon.
So, like I said, Marsha went over there. That was her first E3. And she was excited. She was super excited, coming back with a lot of content. And I think it inspired her to like, man, let me do more than just the podcast. Now she's doing Twitch and other stuff. Do you think coming here to Podfest, is it like the same for you now? Maybe once you go back home and now you're gonna start working on your podcast, is that gonna like pump you up? Like, man, I gotta do more than just record.
Yeah, I'm definitely very energized right now, and I've been like texting her and telling her about things that I've been learning. And one thing that I thought was really cool is that I didn't realize there were all these podcasting tools available. Like, for example, I edit the podcast, and sometimes it takes me a long time to do that. So I edit that. I control content on the website. I'm also the designer. So anytime we do promo stuff, I'm designing it. So I feel like I do a lot of different things. And sometimes I don't feel like I have the energy to do all that. So if it's possible to outsource one of those things, it might be able to help me just be more present in the podcast itself. So
I know earlier this morning you went to was it a panel or a keynote about branding, right? Was it about that a presentation or something like that? So for those they're not here, how was that?
I think that presentation was by far the best that I have seen this weekend. And what it was about how we fascinate other people, and that we have one thing that we're really, really good at. And we may not even be aware of it, but it's how we fascinate other people, and that's what gets them to, be interested in what we do. And so that she was kind of calling them like the 7 different superpowers. And so you can take a little quiz to find out what your specific superpower is and how to hone that in to really influence people.
That's pretty cool. That's awesome. To you, I know there's been some bad times with the whole podcasting thing with you. What have you learned from that? And can you give us an example? Well, since you started podcast.
Now, what do you mean by bad times?
Bad times, like struggles. Because I struggled too with my show back in the days when I first started. That I almost quit too. Was that something similar to you in the past, or what?
I mean, I think the thing that I struggle with most right now is the feeling of sometimes feeling a little burnt out because I do wear so many different hats. And I just have to keep reminding myself why I'm doing it. And it's because I love it. I love it. I love sitting down once a week and talking to Marcia and Carrie, talking about our kids, about our life, about the games we're playing, about new things we've discovered. And I just have to keep my eye on that. Like, even if it's just to sit down to talk, even if that never gets released, that 1 hour that we share weekly means a lot.
It's like a release stress, right? Like, oh man, this is awesome. Yeah. So I'm going to end it with this. For those that are curious about Podfest and maybe other conferences in the future, why they should attend and check it out?
I think you should attend because you're going to learn things that you didn't know before, but also you're going to meet a lot of interesting people. So I have met quite a few podcasters that I would love to invite on my podcast as guest hosts, or just even podcasts that I'd like to share with our audience, because they're so diverse. There's so many different people. It's so diverse. There's a lot of great information, and you should definitely check it out.
Was there any podcast that got your attention? Like, really? There's a podcast about that?
Yes, and she was actually in the Messengers, and she has an entire podcast about her menstrual cycle, or about just menstruation in general. And you know what? I was like, yeah, that's amazing. I'm so glad there's somebody out there talking about that.
That's awesome, right? Desiree, so where people can find you?
People can find me on Twitter. My name is Sick in the Head, and that's SICKNDEHED, but also at The Mommy Gamers. So themommygamers.com, and we are The Mommy Gamers on all the things, whether that's Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, Pinterest, everywhere.
Desiree, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
You're listening to Gamertag Radio.
All right. I want to thank Danny and I want to thank Desiree from the Mommy Gamers for that discussion at Podfest about everything that they're discussing with the event. They got into E3, I believe, all that good stuff. We haven't actually heard it yet, so I don't know what they said. That's why I said that. But anyways, so moving on, let's just get into some of the stuff that's been going on this week. Obviously, the big one is we've started to see preview content for the Nintendo Switch and for Zelda. So I'll just kick it over to you. What are your thoughts with some of the stuff that you've seen this week?
First, it's looking a little bit more comfortable to be, handheld. It's not as heavy as it appears in images. There has been a couple of negative talks. First, it's the Joy-Con syncing issue that it's been experiencing, and hopefully there's a patch for it upon official launch. Apparently the kickstand is a slight issue. It's not as good as expected. I don't know if these are things that are going to be sale breakers or prevent people from going out. I don't think they're going to have an issue overall as a company. I think this is a good thing for Nintendo to try to get away from the stigma that was brought on by the Wii U. I just hope, and I'm not trying to stay negative on this. I just hope they don't do what they did with the Classic. I hope they push out enough hardware to not force people to stand in line waiting for a box.
Agreed. And that's kind of my thing. Like I've been telling you guys the last couple weeks, I'm to the point where I kind of feel like I'm going to get one sooner rather than later. And my thing is I want to get past all this big wave of games that are out now. So basically by the time I'm done with Mass Effect, I'm probably looking at early May-ish time. I would probably start to consider getting a Switch, late April, early May. If I can't easily get one by that point, that's a problem. That's a problem. I understand here in the month of March, you probably are not going to be able to get a Switch. I get that. It's new hardware, new tech. But once we start getting into May, man, I mean, if I can't at least just go on Amazon or BestBuy.com or GameStop and get one that it was in, like if I walk into GameStop and I go, I want to get a Switch, and I go, well, we can basically reserve one for you and it'll be here in 3 to 5 days. That should be the lead time on a Switch by then at worst. If it's a Nintendo Classic situation, that's just shameful. I shouldn't have to jump through hoops and get up, and start following, Brickseek.com and getting up at 1:00 in the morning, go stand out in front of a Target or something and go get one when I'm ready to get one. So hopefully they'll have all the logistics of that down and they won't have shortage issues. But going back to what you were saying, like with the Joy-Con gate, I guess is what it's called right now. hopefully this is just a minor thing that by the time the day one patch comes out, it's just a firmware update. Maybe need to boost the signal on that left Joy-Con, something like that. And it's not a major issue. And not every outlet has had a problem with it. Let's be clear on that. Because I know Polygon has been very adamant that the Switches they've been previewing have not had this Joy-Con issue at all. But I know there's been some online personalities that have been talking about it. And I can't think of, I think it was Game Explain, I believe. They demoed and were able to recreate the Joy-Con issue where it wasn't working. So in my opinion, there is an issue out there, but hopefully it's, like I said, it's just firmware related or something, or just signal related. And it's something that can be fixed and not become a major issue when, you know, the regular folk like us actually get our hands on it and we're able to start playing the Switch. But I'll say overall, the preview stuff that I've seen from the Switch, the portability of it has me a little smitten with it now. And it's really just going to come down to the games. I feel like the fact that I'll be able to have a Pro Controller when I'm at home, pop it in the dock, play Zelda and all those games on my TV relatively easy, and then be able to just take it. Because I don't see too many scenarios where I'm taking those Joy-Cons off the Switch.
Right.
Either playing it with the Joy-Cons attached to it portable, or I have a Pro Controller and I'm playing it that way.
And that
you
was
know what I mean?
That was going to be one of the things I was going to ask you, like, because of the Joy-Con gate, whatever. That's such a bad. I hate that they put gate behind anything now. But is that a showstopper for you? Since you just said you're not really going to be playing with the little Joy-Cons. So does it affect it once it's connected to the grip?
It's enough of a showstopper that I'm not going to buy hardware that doesn't work correctly. I would legitimately sit it out until that issue is resolved. Just for the simple fact, there may be a game or an off scenario where I will take the Joy-Cons off and want to use them. And if one of them ain't working, that's a problem, right? My kids, when they're playing it, they may prefer to play with the Joy-Cons off. I don't know, in tabletop mode or something. I don't know what they would do. But yeah, I'm not going to buy broken hardware.
Right.
So it better work the way that it's supposed to work, or I would just wait. I mean, that's pretty much where I am. And I think that's where the majority of people would be. No one's going to just go, well, it's Nintendo and I just got to have one. It's broken, but oh, well, I'll just get through it. No, they're going to wait it out. So this has the potential of being an issue for Nintendo if it isn't quickly resolved.
Right. And so the other things that I've read up on the internet is the Joy-Con grip doesn't actually charge the Joy-Cons. You have to actually physically connect them to the tablet unless you buy the Joy-Con grip accessory, which is essentially, it's the identical grip, but it has a port for you to charge it, and it costs an extra $30. So again, accessories seem to be the negative towards the actual thing. Wireless headset or wireless headphones won't work with them. Have you heard anything about this?
That I didn't know. So wireless headsets will not work with the Switch.
So if you have a Bluetooth headset that you want to connect to your Switch, it's not going to have an option for it, nor is there an analog jack on any of the controllers either. The tablet portion of the console seems to be the part that has the audio jack.
Right.
Unlike most controllers these days, I know the later iterations, like for the Xbox One controller, the new controllers now, they have an analog jack on there. But yeah, if that's something that you were hoping to have, where you could just you might have to have that really long 3.5 millimeter extension cord if you have a pair of headsets that you want to connect separately. Other than that, besides no backwards compatibility, and I think they're going to open up the eShop on launch. Is that something that matters to you? I'm curious. Like not having the previous back catalog to play on.
Well, I mean, it's Nintendo. You know how this works. I mean, they're not. Of course, you're going to have to rebuy this stuff if that's what you want to play. I mean, when it comes to the virtual console and things like that. And again, I've said this a million times at this point. This is a soft launch. All these extra online features and eShop things and virtual console things, they're not ready because this isn't when Switch probably should have launched. They're launching this thing because they needed to get Zelda out the door with it, and I get it. So this is part of the reason why I didn't necessarily feel I needed one at launch because I want to see how this stuff kind of plays out a little bit before I go pick one up. Let's see what Nintendo's strategy is going to be with all that. And with all that said, me being a dummy, I'll probably wind up picking up one in May anyways before they actually do announce all this stuff. So they got me anyways. But my point is, this is Nintendo being Nintendo when it comes to the way they handle a lot of their digital backwards compatibility stuff. And obviously with the way the Switch is changing physical formats, as far as physical media, there's no way you can bring your old, Wii disc or Wii U disc. So, I mean, I get it. This isn't a real surprise to me, but I'll say with that said, I want that back catalog on the Switch of some of their older 2D content, because again, I can see me playing a Super Mario 3 on this, while I'm laying in bed at night, or, one of the old Zeldas, one of the old Metroids, etc. So I want to see that catalog on the Switch. Is it going to suck that you're going to have to rebuy some of this stuff? I'd have to anyways, because I don't own any of it now anyways. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Unless you're being a pirate and you have an emulator. That's really the only way that I would be playing this back catalog right now anyways. But that's what I say. I see the potential of the Switch being this portable machine that I can have all of Nintendo's library on. And I think that's a fascinating prospect. And I think, and I think Cicero and I are from Spawn on Me. We'd been kind of talking about this offline. I see the first couple years of the Switch as an evaluation point for Nintendo to see if they can get rid of the 3DS. If the DS model goes away completely and they funnel everything into the Switch model. But that's really going to come down to the reception of the Switch, how it's selling, how consumers are using it, etc. So I see the Switch and the DS living side by side for a few years, and then there's going to come to a point where Nintendo's going to have to make a decision. Do we make a new DS, or do we just end DS support and push everything over to the Switch? Yeah. So yeah. Go ahead.
I remember bringing that up when we first heard about the Sony or the Switch. When Nintendo had the announcement, is this the death knell for the 3DS? I have to say it looks like it. While it might sound premature, it has to. I mean, does it really make sense to have two handheld offerings for your consumer base?
Yeah, it does. If ain't nobody buying the Switch, they will. I mean, that's my point. I think if you see mass adoption of the Switch, I mean, and specifically look at Japan and look at what they're doing, because obviously the 3DS is huge over in Japan. If you're seeing mass adoption of the Switch in Japan, and you're seeing videos and pictures of folks on their commutes on the trains and everything, they're not using DSs anymore. They're using Switches, for their content. Then Nintendo would get to a point of, why make another 3DS? Just have all the games funnel now into the Switch, and then whatever the successor is, and they just keep moving forward. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because like you said, what would be the point of two portable machines? Because think about it. When we get different iterations of the Switch, this is obviously the launch Switch, but it's going to have better battery life at some point, right? Controller support may become better. You have this big, beautiful 720p 6-inch screen that you're playing these games on, that moving forward, that could be the ideal way. And we've already seen now with smartphones haven't gotten smaller, they've gotten bigger. So Nintendo, obviously, like I said, Nintendo just has to evaluate what's going on the next few years. There's no rush to get rid of the 3DS, in my opinion, but that decision will come in a few years.
Agreed. Good stuff.
So just sticking with Nintendo before we move on, Zelda, I mean, we've seen some preview content about that come out. Have you been paying attention to it? And if so, what do you think?
It's kind of difficult for me because I'm not a Zelda person. Similar to like Mandy, who is all about it. She collects the books and posters, and I think one year I got her like a big like banner to hang on her wall for one of our Secret Santa stuffs. So for me, I'm not like rushing out to check out the latest stuff for Zelda. I've never fully played a full Zelda game. I've got maybe an hour of gameplay in my entire 43 years of life on this planet. So it's not something that I rush out to check out as soon as a new trailer or content comes out. So I'm definitely this might be the game that brings me into that ethos of Zelda and Link, and that's all I really know about it. So I have nothing, unfortunately. But again, this might be the game that brings me into it, just because it's not the traditional, top-down, Legend of Zelda type game that everybody else is pretty much aware of. It is similar. The reason I say that is because it kind of feels like a Nintendo-esque Witcher 3, right? And since you and I obviously have, got plenty of hours and lots of enjoyment out of the Witcher 3 series, that could be pause enough or reason enough for me to go out and get it, just to get, just to play it, just to have the experience under my belt.
Right. Well, and again, I'm obviously I can't even talk. Sorry, but I was aware that obviously you're not a big Zelda fan. That's why I was curious if any of this piqued your interest early on. But as for myself, yeah, I mean, I've been watching a lot of the preview footage, and it looks good, and I've really liked what I've been hearing about it, which again is getting me more excited. Couple that with what I've seen of the actual Switch hardware and hearing how epic potentially Zelda is going to be on the Switch makes me like, well, maybe I do want to play it sooner rather than later, but I'm still going to wait it out, because again, we got so many freaking games, right now that, I mean, I can wait and at least hear what more people have to say before I make my final decision on that. But, so far so good. It's looking good. I mean, the one thing from some of the previews, which again, it's not the final game, and well, I guess it is the final game, but it's, the final patch and everything for the Switch is not out yet. There has been a few frame rate hiccups, but nothing game breaking or distracting. I mean, it's just, things that people are noticing while playing. And ironically enough, they're noticing it more when it's docked and not so much when you're playing it portable.
Yeah.
Actually,
I was reading Twitter last night, and that's counter to what I was reading. I can't remember who exactly it was. I think it was two of the people from IGN, but they were like sitting side by side playing the game. One person was playing it docked. The other person was playing it in tablet mode with no difference, period. Actually, here it is. Our buddy Jose Otero from IGN, he and Alana Pierce were playing it side by side, 8 hours straight. He was on it docked on TV, and she was playing it handheld mode. No notable differences. So,
yeah, like I said, minor frame rate things. Nothing like, oh my God, don't play it docked. Nothing crazy like that. Again, and that does get me excited. And that's, as a gamer, that's what it really comes down to, man. I mean, it's new hardware, new big IP. That it's, from all intents and purposes, everything that we've seen so far, this looks to be a success. So it's really going to come down to Nintendo just properly supporting this hardware with more amazing titles, with what Zelda is potentially looking to be. So I'm excited. I'm definitely excited to see more. I'm really curious to hear what Danny and Mandy are going to say when they get their Switches at the end of this week.
It's funny because I know we've mentioned it on the other show, but I have a feeling, and I think you might be doing this too. We might just pick it up just so we have something to do while waiting in line at E3.
Well, yeah, like we were saying, because I do see that scenario at E3 where we're all going to be playing Mario Kart 8. I totally see that scenario happening.
I could just picture, like, we're all sitting like we usually do at the beginning of E3. We all go to Yard House and we all have like this big sit down. But then nobody's talking to each other. We're all just sitting at a big table playing Switch.
Yep. Absolutely could happen. So again, and that's exciting because think about it. That's, as gamers, it's bringing us all together to play together, right? You know what I mean? Right. And that's the whole point of gaming. And instead of us being our socially awkward selves online playing where no one can see us, we're all face to face playing. Imagine that. Crazy, right? But yeah, it's good. It's looking good. So anything else on the Switch or Zelda before we move on?
No, let's move on. We've got a lot of stuff we want to talk about here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to switch gears too long. So
switch gears.
I didn't laugh because it wasn't funny. Okay, so moving on. Let's talk about Mass Effect.
Yes.
That was the other big preview information that came out this week. So I'll start this one off. I'm going to get it. I'm not over the moon excited about it. It looks good, not great to me. And look, that just may be the pessimist in me. I guess I am the grumpy old man on the show, but it looks beautiful. Don't get me wrong. I'm absolutely getting on the PC, and it's going to be amazing to see it in 4K, which the PC specs actually were surprising to me because they were recommending a 1060 to run this thing. So it's either heavily optimized or they're not recommending people playing this in 4K. They're just assuming that you're playing it in 1080p. So again, we'll see when we get closer to launch, I guess. But just from the preview footage that because they did another, was that the combat trailer, I believe,
right?
They showed off. And then obviously a lot of sites had hands-on time and they had preview commentary on that. And I just read around and watched some videos, people talking about Mass Effect. And like people were happy with what they got to see. But like the one that really sticks out to me is Arthur Guys from Polygon, where he's just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing here. What's the purpose of what we're doing? And again, I know it's a short sample size, but I am worried about a couple things with Mass Effect. I'm worried about clunky dialogue and trying to force me to care about certain characters on your team that I don't want to care about. Those are probably my two biggest things. And that's just a personal thing with me. All that could be completely unfounded. Like, I think the combat of it, and when we're just out in the field doing missions, I think that's going to be fine. But it's the thing that made Mass Effect special to me was the fact that I actually cared about a lot of those characters. And so far, I'm not seeing that through the preview footage. And it is preview footage. I could be 100% wrong, but I just wish there was more there. And that's just me. But what about you?
Yeah, I was, I don't want to say concerned, but it caught me off guard saying that, you know, I guess it's optimized for, or they're only recommending 1080p for now. A 1060 being the recommended GPU, and then what is it, a GTX 660 or 7850 from Radeon being the minimum specs. Usually it's the PC side that comes out of yeah, you need to use the latest and greatest, but them saying, you know, going the bottom end of the 10 series did kind of catch me off guard. I don't think it's going to be an issue. I think maybe they're doing that not to push like the Witcher 3 type, you know, scenario, or was it Crytek? Was it the Crisis series that's always coming out and you have to use the latest and greatest or you're going to have a horrible experience? Maybe they're just relying on the game itself to give you that full-on experience and not have to be reliant on graphical horsepower. And, you know, I don't know.
Well, I went to PC Gamer really quick, and literally it was the first thing on their page talking about this. And yeah, it is, the specs are identical to Battlefield 1, which makes a lot of sense because they share the same engine. And if that's the case,
I don't think there's anything to be worried about.
Yeah, well, there's nothing to be worried about as far as 4K goes, because I mean, I'm playing Battlefield 1 on my 1080 and 4K. I mean, it's fine. So this, and like, I'm just looking at some of the quick comments, and some of the PC heads are quickly saying, oh yeah, these are the recommended 1080p specs. You know, I'm playing on a 980 Battlefield 1, 1080p. It's fine. So, I mean, that's basically what they're recommending right now. So again, it doesn't surprise me, since EA smartly are sharing their major games across the board using that Frostbite engine, so they can really start to nail in the optimization when it comes to these games. So for that note, that's good, actually.
You know, now that I think about it, I think that's actually pretty good, because not everybody's going to have a 4K monitor. Exactly. Most people these days have a 1080p monitor. That's the pretty much common thing now. So I'm probably thinking they're going to do something like a 4K pack that you can download later, you know, just to get those additional high res assets if you've got the supporting hardware, or you have the supporting monitors or whatever to give, because it doesn't make sense to have all the 4K content but you're only playing on a 1080p monitor, right? It's not going to be as noticeable. Whereas if you have the 4K monitor, you'll be able to take advantage of the denser pixel count. And I think that makes sense, right? Appeal to the broader base and then give the option for those that are higher up on the tech side to do it as needed, right? Whereas it's not forced and pushed onto everybody. And like you said, since they're sharing the same engine across the board, it makes it easier to just push out the same way. So we're looking at a 55 gig file on PC.
Yes. Yeah, it's saying
as compared to 40, 45 for PS4 and Xbox One. So I don't know. Like you said, it's from everything we've heard, it's not blockbuster, mind blowing, but it's like just good enough. And that's not something we typically expect from a Mass Effect title or BioWare, right? It's usually something, they usually come out and it's.
No, let's be clear. Let's be clear here, because we're speculating on preview content. This isn't the final game, so I don't want to dampen anyone that's listening's enthusiasm for Mass Effect. This is just my thoughts on it. I'm not having that feeling that I had back with Mass Effect 2, for example, where I'm like, oh my God, I can't sleep at night. I'm just waking up thinking about Shepard. I got to go play it. You know what I mean? I'm not having that feeling. I'm just kind of like, all right, it's coming out. I'm going to get it. I'll play it. I'm having that feeling whereas I actually, and I don't know if this is an awkward transition to this, I'm having an excitement for Horizon Zero Dawn that I'm not having for Mass Effect. And that again is the direct result of preview and now review content. And maybe by the time reviews come out for Mass Effect, knock on wood, hopefully we're one of those people, but by the time review content comes out for Mass Effect, maybe my tune completely changes. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh my God, I got to play this game. But this is just the way I'm feeling right now, and I don't want to dampen anybody's enthusiasm. Maybe you're seeing things that I'm not seeing and you're totally excited for it.
No, I'm not. And I am looking forward to it, but I might be backtracking now. I don't know if I'm going to play it on PC or Xbox because I just don't know. I don't know what.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this question. Why would you play it on Xbox?
Because I know a lot of my friends play multiplayer. They're going to enjoy it.
So that does. Okay. So that does interest you.
That would draw me in. And since they haven't really talked about it a lot, I think they're talking about doing a multiplayer beta, but it's still not solidified. And for those that are interested, you should be jumping onto beacon.bioware.com so you can, get some more information on that. But that little beta will probably solidify the decision as to whether I'm going to get it on Xbox or play it on PC.
Roger that. Me personally, I never really got into the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, so that isn't the draw for me. Gotcha. Maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised, but I've already thrown my money at it, so I've already made my decision. I'm getting it on PC. Because again, I want to experience it that way. I played the original trilogy all on Xbox, and this trilogy I'll play it all on PC. So I'm looking forward to it. Gotcha. Definitely, and that's what I mean. I want to be clear. It's not that I'm not looking forward to the game. I am. I'm just not. I just don't have that twinkle in my eye. Like, oh my God, I gotta play this game. Twinkle, but maybe that comes. I don't know. But right now, I look at it this way, and like I said, maybe awkward transition. I'm seeing 3 heavy hitter open world RPG type games in a row here in a less than 30-day period, which is insane. Horizon Zero Dawn, which is going to be out Tuesday. Then you got Zelda, which is out, I guess, what is that, Friday? Yeah, Friday.
Yeah.
And then Mass Effect coming, what is that? Not even 20 days later.
Hey, and you forget Ghost Recon Wildlands comes out on the 7th, which is a week out.
Do I really want to include that?
I do.
I don't. It's a freaking buggy mess right now.
Well, for you, but I no.
Hold on. Because my issues aren't. I'm not talking about the crashes that have happened on the PC. My issue is this is the open beta, and for me, you may not feel this way, but for me, the driving is so atrocious that I don't want to recommend this to someone out of the gate. I kind of want to see if they patch this at launch. I said this on Facebook Live. Here's how I'm viewing Ghost Recon Wildlands right now. It is a fun game to play on Friday night with 3 of my buddies, right? But it's not something I see me heavily investing in. And that, hey, I don't know if that's the intention of the developers or not, if they want this to be a heavily invested game or just something fun to play with my buddies. But I'm not pulling a Destiny with Ghost Recon. I can tell you that. You know, I don't see me, let me put it this way. I don't see me picking Ghost Recon over having to play Horizon or Mass Effect or like a Persona 5 or something like that. I would play those before I would pick up Ghost Recon. But if three of my buddies, you know, like you and the guys, you know, on the Discord channel decide, hey, you want to jump in and play a few rounds of Ghost Recon? Sure, I'll go do that. And then I would hop back out and I go do something else. That's kind of where I am with Ghost Recon right now. And that's just based on my opinion over the 2 betas that I've had hands-on time with.
Interesting. It's funny because a lot of it is repetitive action. And it's fun. We actually talked about this on the Discord channel Friday night on the stream. It kind of has that Destiny type feel where you're doing that repetitive action to, you know, run this mission, go do this, go do that. I don't know. Maybe because there's so much opportunity for random foolishness. I'm going to sidetrack because this was one of those instances I'm talking about. We're playing. Mandy jumped in. One of the other guys in the group had jumped out. Mandy jumps in. We start playing. We get to the plane mission. One guy's already seated in the back seat. I jump back in the back seat of the plane. Mandy jumps into the plane and she's getting ready to take off. And I'm like, I'm out. And bail out. And she takes off. She ended up getting to the objective and landing, and it was, you know, perfect. But, you know, it was just one of those things where we always think Mandy's going to crash and burn. And that is one of the things that it's like, yeah, that was so much fun, that little quick 3-minute blurb, but I'm genuinely enjoying it. My only concern is the repetitiveness going to remind me of Destiny, and is that going to be the thing that kills it for me?
And look, fair or not, that's kind of the bar for me now. And I'm not saying it needs to be a Destiny for me where I'm dropping 1,000 hours into it. But I think the thing that the point I'm trying to make here is, if you guys were to ping me and say, hey, come, let's go play Ghost Recon. Oh, I'll jump in. We'll go make our fun. And then I'll jump out. Whereas with Destiny, I would actively go seek out people that I don't even freaking know, because I'm like, man, I got to do the strike. You know, I got to get this raid done. You know what I mean? And I don't see me doing that with Ghost Recon. And I think that's kind of in a nutshell is the difference. And we'll see when the final game comes out. We're obviously going to review it. We'll talk about it and get more in depth with it. But I'm not having that pull to just go jump in and play it after the 2 betas. I just find that I'm seeing a lot of just little buggy issues that I hope they fix. And maybe once they're fixed, then I'll have more appreciation for it. But then again, it's a beta. You know what I mean? So we'll see when the final game comes out.
And it's funny. Sorry, we kind of detracted from Horizon Zero Dawn. So let's get back to that.
Well, I mean, honestly, we honestly can just wrap this up at this point. I mean, there's really not because there's not that much to say. We've already talked about the preview content. The reviews are out. People, you know, if someone's going to get it, they're going to get it at this point. Right. You know what I mean? So there's not really much to say. And by the time most people hear this, Horizon Zero Dawn is either out or it's about to come out. So, you know, like I said, I'm getting it. I've already pre-ordered it. I have it on Amazon Prime. It'll be arriving on the 28th, and I'm definitely planning to deep dive into it and explore this new world that they've built. You know, we didn't talk about this too much on the podcast. I'll just end with this and say that, yeah, because we talked about this on Facebook Live, the face-to-face thing. This was with you. I view this, if Horizon Zero Dawn is absolutely everything that the reviews are saying that it is, this now moves Guerrilla Games up a notch as far as a developer, because they've shown their chops that they're not just the Killzone studio, right? And I don't want to turn this into the Microsoft bashing show, but I'd made a little snarky tweet that, one publisher, Sony, let one of their internal studios chase a passion project, and the result was Horizon Zero Dawn. Whereas Microsoft, and I said that Microsoft should take notes on this, because the point I'm making on this is simple. If Microsoft would have let Bungie chase their passion project, Destiny is exclusive title to them right now. Think about that.
Yeah.
Think about that. And the reason I bring that up is you need to let these studios diversify themselves. You need to let them chase passion projects versus making them make the same flipping thing over and over again. Eventually, these studios are going to get burnt out doing it, and they're going to want to do something else. When I didn't talk about this on Facebook Live, but a prime example of this is going to be Treyarch. Pretty sure Treyarch wants to do something else other than freaking Call of Duty, right?
They have to.
But yet, that's all they do, and that's all they're making. And eventually, they're going to get burnt out on that, and they're going to want to do something else. So, Activision, at some point, should let that studio splinter off, chase a passion project, do whatever. Because again, I'll go back to the Bungie example. If Bungie was still at Microsoft and they had chased Destiny, now Destiny is an internal, is exclusive title to Microsoft, and you can still make a 343 studio to make Halo games if you so choose, right? Mm-hmm. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. Like Playground Games as an example, they obviously worked very closely with Turn 10 on Forza Horizon stuff. They're now making what, quote unquote, their passion project. So maybe Microsoft is learning from this. I don't know if that game is exclusive to Microsoft or not. But the point is, these publishers in general need to let these studios diversify themselves. I don't need a sequel to the same flipping thing every year. Take a break, make something else, versus keep making the same thing that defined your studio. Look at Naughty Dog, for example, classic example. They are, for the most part, have been the Uncharted studio, right? But then they chased a passion project and it wound up being The Last of Us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
These are kind of things we see. Insomniac obviously is great about this. They chase passion projects all the time. They don't just make Ratchet and Clank games. Sunset Overdrive was a passion project for them. I may not like it, but a lot of people do. And that's the point. They tried something different. They took a risk. You know what I mean? And that's what I want to see from a lot of these studios. And you have nothing to add. So, okay.
No. It's because it makes sense what you're saying. So, I think I agreed with you on the last show about this as well. So it is what it is. I mean, we're going to be getting it anyway. So I guess they're doing something right. I just disagree when you say that they should be on the what was it, the Mount Rushmore of video game developers. I'm saying for Sony's internal studios, because right now, if you look at Sony's internal studios, Naughty Dog is obviously the flagship, right? Absolutely. Yes.
Sony Santa Monica is probably right behind them, and then you have oh my God, why am I blanking on their names? Oh, what is the other studio? Why am I blanking on the name? Oh my God. Doing it on the podcast, I'm forgetting the name. Oh well, I'm an idiot. I'll remember it later and tweet it out. But the point is, Guerrilla Games now gets to go up there as well. That's my point.
Okay.
In my opinion, if Horizon Zero Dawn is truly everything that they're saying it is, then they get to go up there as well. Sucker Punch. Gosh darn it, why I could not think of that name. Sucker Punch is the other one. Oh my God. But that's my point. I mean, that puts them up there where you see a game coming from. Now, this is what I'm saying. So the next time you see a game coming from Guerrilla, you're going to start paying more attention. You're like,
no, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. So,
agreed.
That's it. But anything else? Anything else you want to add to it, or should we just go ahead and wrap this up?
We could wrap it up. One I just heard: Bill Paxton dead at 61.
Oh my God.
Yes. Complications of surgery. Didn't survive. This is one of those actors that, God, if you grew up in the 80s, 90s, even the 2000s, I mean,
he's everywhere.
He's everywhere. Was it ID4, Titanic, Aliens, Twister?
Yeah.
Just the.
He was the bully older brother in Weird Science. That's when I first remember him.
Yes. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. No, that's too bad.
It's a heart wrencher.
Thanks, Pete, for ending this on a sad note.
I'm sorry. It literally just popped up on my feed, and this is one of those. It's funny because it's not one of those actors that was like mind blowing, right? Like it wasn't a De Niro or someone up there, but he's someone that's been in enough good movies that it makes you take pause and notice, and recognize the work that he's put across. And yeah, man, Hollywood lost a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah.
So, with that said, I think we'll go ahead and end the episode. Again, Danny, remind everyone where they can leave us feedback.
Send us your feedback or questions. Give us a call at 786-273-7GTR. Email us at fanmail@gamertagradio.com or leave a message on speakpipe.com/gamertagradio.
All right, Pete, any last comments before we get out of here?
No, that's it, man. Can't wait. Got a lot of good games coming up over on the horizon, so looking forward.
Absolutely. So next episode, for sure, we'll probably have some early Horizon Zero Dawn impressions, and we'll talk more about our adventures in streaming, and Danny will be back, and I'm sure we'll have more comments about Podfest, and I'm really looking forward to that. So with all that said, this has been episode 638 of Gamertag Radio. I'm Parris. That's Pete, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Thanks for listening to Gamertag Radio. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.